There are a few stories in sport which will definitely be remembered for a long time. And Afghanistan, this World Cup already have given us something to cherish. Only time will tell if they can make the top four. Only time will tell if they can topple the five-time winners in Australia. And only time will tell if that can happen today. We have, of course, Anirudh Suresh joining us right now and Nikhil Popat in this match preview on cricket.com. Give a like before, of course, we start proceedings. And give a like if you think there's going to be an upset on the cards or if you think Australia are absolutely going to pump the hell out of Afghanistan. I've been, of course, just flexing my Australian little jersey over here. Maybe reverse psychology, but let's talk to the real Aussie fan who, of course, wrote the pre-match analysis on the website of cricket.com as well. Anirudh Suresh. Anirudh, good to see you. Are you nervous or not really?
I mean, if there's one venue you want to be playing Afghanistan in, it's probably Wankhede because of how batting friendly it's been. But then again, who am I to say that? Because Afghanistan have chased down like 250 plus scores for fun in this tournament so far. And also, we've seen that toss has played a huge role at Wankhede. Like, if you win the toss and bat first, it's probably the match. That's how it's panned out so far in this World Cup. So, uh, I think I'm way less confident now than what I was at the start of the tournament when, after seeing, okay, Australia versus Afghanistan at Wankhede, you always thought that it was going to be a straightforward fixture. But let's not forget, Afghanistan have won 4 of their last 5 matches and they are in also red hot form, just like Australia. So I'm personally expecting a very tight clash.
Indeed, of course. Let me just share that particular article that Anirudh wrote right now. If you guys are into written content, because like he said, red hot Australian unit, they literally have won their last 5 games, and they're hoping that they can make it 6 and tread on nicely into the semi-finals. Right, Nix. I mean, for from a Afghanistan perspective, it just makes you think, right? If they pull it off, it's the unthinkable. They're facing Australia today, and then they're facing South Africa. It can't get easier than that, can it, for the Afghanis?
I mean, no better motivation. And see, the good thing has been they've been very clear in terms of how they wanted to go about it, and they've shown that flexibility as well. That uh, we are happy to chase down scores by bowling first, and they've done well. It's not that you sometimes think they'll have a few moments of harakiri, what you saw from Netherlands. That there were 4 runouts. Now all those kind of controllables, Afghanistan have really done well to not get into any. And because right through the World Cup, apart from that one Bangladesh game, you haven't seen them really collapse. They've always had early wickets, but then somebody has resurrected that innings well. So they'll want to do the basics well again today. If it is see, if they're bowling first, that is what I feel might also give them a good chance. But then they have to bat second under lights where the ball swings. So I think in both cases they will know there is tougher period to take care of. But hopefully they will. And as Anirudh said, hopefully we have a great game, because if they are able to push Australia here and they have any glimmer of hope that yes, they can topple this one, it could go a long way in terms of not just pushing their case in this World Cup, but just as a nation as well.
No, absolutely. And let's see what they do, of course, on the day, because the toss is just moments away, and Nikhil will break it at us, of course, because I had the PS on right now, not the game, being cheeky me. And Anirudh, I just want to ask you about certain team changes. I think Maxwell come back in, Marshall as well. But there was a claim of vertigo from Steve Smith. Can you just
Yeah.
elaborate, please?
Yeah, I mean, I think Smith is going to miss out on this match. That's what I've been reading in the last few minutes or so. Just an unfortunate timing for Australia, because at the business end of the tournament, you really want someone like Theo Smith to be finding, his feet, and he's someone who's been off rhythm. But again, he played a very crucial hand against England, but again couldn't capitalize. But on a surface like this against an opposition like Afghanistan with a lot of spinners, you feel that you need that person to keep manipulating strike in the middle overs and kind of just milk the spinners, and Smith is pretty decent at doing that. So that's unfortunate for Australia if he's indeed not fit. But again, it solves a headache for them, because then they would have had to drop Labuschagne if Smith was fit, and Labuschagne, as we know, top scored for them in the last match, and he's also the second highest run getter for Australia so far in this World Cup. So that would have been really harsh on Labuschagne. So it feels like the Labuschagne juju is too strong in the last 2 months or so. He's found a way to stay in the side regardless of so many factors. So let's see. Hopefully Smith is fit, but even if he's not, I feel that Australia, it's not an excuse to
I think he's just stuck. Is it just me? Nix, you can hear me, right? Yeah, he's back on. But nevertheless, it's going to be fascinating what the captains do out there in terms of winning the toss. Because if you look at
Afghanistan
Mumbai,
bat.
and they're batting first, and it's a no-brainer, this, because what we've seen so far, the Wankhede Knicks, is not just it being a six-hitting central, because the highest average of sixes per match in the tournament is in the Wankhede, but you talk about it being a batting paradise. 399, 382, 357. Can Afghanistan, dare I say, get over 300 against this Australian lot? It'll be good to see.
See, I think you may not need to have that much score if they feel that the deck is dry and they can make use of that swing. Of course, you have to just probably look back to that England game where how they got to a score and they were able to choke the batting with a lot of good tight spin bowling. And again, to be very very honest with you, if Smith is not playing, Warner is the only guy who's faced these guys a lot in the past. You haven't had Mars, Travis Head, and everybody else playing them enough. So of course, the dew may play its part, but the dew once again is coming later. It will come only after 8:39. Until then, you saw England lose. You saw Sri Lanka lose their way as well, and you've seen other sides also lose too many up top. So I think this is exactly what I felt that they could do: win the toss, bat first without the pressure of the scoreboard. That okay, because if you're chasing 300, you are going to play very very differently. But if you're batting first, there is no scoreboard pressure. See where you are at 40 over mark and then take a call ke bhai, you want 280 or 320 or 300 or plus. And it will also put enough pressure on Australia that okay, if they also feel it's dry, they may not say it, but they will know that they don't want to chase more than 330. Again, it's not to say that Afghanistan cannot get to 330 or they can and all of that, but so far they've done well, and Afghanistan will back the batting to play out the overs and see where they get at.
I'll tell you what, I mean, it makes you think about how the Afghan openers are going to go about their business, because you immediately think about that England game and how they went after not just Mark Wood, but even Topley and I think the earlier bowlers as well. Adil, what is the key for Australia to get past that opening pair? Because how often have we seen it's that openers who give them that really good start for the middle order to flourish, right?
Yeah, uh, Stark. I'd say Stark and Hazelwood. I have enough faith. I think Stark probably bowled the best he has all tournament against England with the new ball, and he already, if you remember, the last time he played at the Wankhede, which was like about 8-9 months ago, he absolutely ripped through the Indian top order, and India almost lost chasing 160, 70 odd. So and we saw just how much help the Sri Lankan Pacers got up front against India. They could have easily taken 3 or 4 wickets. So, I think really well to even see off the new ball spell. I think there'll be swing on offer. I hope there'll be swing on offer. Usually there has been movement on all surfaces, at least for the first 3-4 overs. So, I feel like Stark could actually pose a lot of trouble to the top three, especially because all three are right-handers. Let's not forget. So today is the day probably Stark
Sorry,
has to.
when will you
Yeah.
kind of introduce Adam Zampa? Because I think he's just an absolute role. I think another three for Beckins, and if he does so, I think he'll equal Umar Gul's record of 6 straight ODIs with three furs. When is the right time? Right after the first power play, or would you hold your cards back with him?
It depends on how the surface is playing, because I'm sure even Maxwell will be handy on the surface, because Hashmat is also there, and not necessarily all the middle order batters take on spin, especially Rahmat and Hashmat. They are not too aggressive against spin, so they will probably try to stick to the template of Maxwell getting in 7-8 cheap overs for around 28-30 runs, and then introduce Zampa when you know that the opposition is looking to take risks, and that's when Zampa is also more effective. Like we saw in the England clash like a couple of days ago as well. So normal template for Australia, and I would also keep a close eye on Cummins, because I think he's been bowling really well in the last few matches, and he's been, especially in the middle overs, he's been providing those partnership breaking strikes which have gone under the radar a bit, but on a wicket like this, which probably should have decent bounce, I think even Cummins could pose a lot of threat in the middle overs.
It's interesting because they've left the Mumbai Indian out, Australia. That is Cam Green. He misses out, of course, with Steve Smith as well. And in come Glenn Maxwell and Mitch Marsh. I know Glenn Maxwell fell off his golf cart or whatever. I don't know if Mitch Marsh is staying the same thing, but World Cup free injuries can't get worse. By the way, we'll entertain some comments as usual on the previews and review show, cricket.com. Hello to Abbas Kunde and Santa de Cruz. Absolutely spot on. I mean, even though I honestly love the Australians because they play with so much balls all the time. It was just nice to see Afghanistan make it. Not to say that Australia, if they make it, won't kind of really spoil people's parties in the semi-final, but only time will tell, of course. So keep your comments coming through. And meanwhile, before I ask Nix about his X factors and certain key battles, we always have to depict some stats for you on the program because, as you can see, that's the inevitable question because they've been so good in World Cups, especially in the 50-over format. It's crazy. They've made the most amount of semi-finals in terms of all the teams out there, and they could, of course, go for the record ninth, the men in yellow. What about this one? Because essentially, Rashid Khan's impact in one-day internationals post the Cricket World Cup 2019, and he's not been um, liking it as compared to his standards that he set. If you look at this depiction, even this tournament, I think he's averaging 43 and just 7 wickets to show. So only time will tell how Rashid goes about his business in the second innings. If they can really do what they did against England, it'll be interesting to see. Then we, of course, pander to Mitchell Stark, a man that Anirudh Suresh was just talking about, and how he could probably be a huge force to reckon with for the Afghan top three. But you look at how brilliant he was in the previous two World Cups. It's tough to live up to that expectation all the time, but nevertheless, he does have it in him to kind of have a say in this game. And quickly, a couple of more before we get talking about the X factors. Then highest batting average for captains in the 2023 World Cup, and that man is right up top of the pops, even more than Rohit Sharma. I'm talking about Hashmatullah Shahidi, who's been a glue for that Afghan batting lineup. And a man who's returning is Glenn Maxwell. And of course, you take a look at what he's been doing in the last couple of games before that golf cart injury. He's been absolutely killing it. Not to forget with the ball in hand, like Anirudh mentioned, he could be very handy on the surface. And if you guys needed any, of course, a reflection of the points table, take a look at it because, of course, those two precious points are to play for Australia. Only time will tell if they can, of course, like I said, make their record ninth semi-final. Right, on to the X factors then, boys. But before that, it is a key battles because, like we've all been waiting for, I want to hear from Nix who he thinks this one is. Right, is it SRH versus SRH in terms of former SRH? David Warner against Rashid Khan. That's the one which pops up. What are the other key battles in this game? Nikhil, we'll start with you and then we can go to Anirudh.
I mean, the SRS battle hasn't happened in the T20 format yet. What crazy to think that is ever the case with the two people, but I think to me the game is decided in the first 10 overs of this first innings itself. Uh, if Stark is able to get rid of Gurbaz and Ibrahim, then Afghanistan will really have to dig deep into the reserves to get to a score that can challenge, because these two have been the pillars of them batting first, and they've enjoyed batting without the worry of the scoreboard. So Ibrahim has had issues versus left arm pace, and I think they might just want to take it easy. I think Gurbaz might be the one who looks to take the earlier risks, so to speak. So I think that battle will set the tone, because if they are 50 for 1 in first 10 overs, Afghanistan will take it hands down, so that it allows them to look towards a score of 280, 300 if they can get there, and then it is something that they can control. But if they lose 2-3 very, very early, then I don't think it will be possible to come back from there.
Look, Stark is a threat, no doubt, Anirudh, but Pranav Anand asking in the comments, it's a bit more drier, they say, but with the new ball, there's always something around the 5 to 6 meter around that length. Can we expect Hazelwood to do more damage early on as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Hazelwood is someone who will always be threatening the batters regardless of the surface. Uh, Again, he bowled a very good spell against England. Again, probably didn't get the rewards he deserved, but he still was pretty good with the new ball up front. And he's been knocking on the door for a while, especially uh, without getting a lot of wickets. Even against New Zealand, I thought he was great. In the Pakistan match in Bangalore, also, he was great. So whenever Hazelwood has bowled on flat surfaces, he's been actually pretty good in this
World
World
Cup,
Cup.
which makes you think, right? And back to you again with this question, Anirudh. The fact that when you were looking at it from the outset, do you think a surface like the Wankhede actually suits Australia? They might even play a semi-final here. Who knows?
100% it should suit Australia based on whatever has happened in this tournament. But again, the reports we are hearing is that this is a much drier drag than what we have seen so far in this World Cup. And also, Afghanistan are batting first, and no chasing side has won at Wankhede so far in this World Cup. So, right now, the odds are 50-50, like I said. But again, I think if Australia can manage to win this match, they will take a lot of confidence out of it because, again, look, these are the kind of matches you want to be winning and really stamping your authority by winning these matches if you're a title contender. So, five in a row is great, but even Stark said that they're still searching for that perfect performance, and that's not really happened for Australia. They've been lagging in one department or the other. But today they will be properly tested, especially their batting will be tested properly. So if they can get through this match, I think that will be a huge confidence booster for Australia.
Yeah, of course. Australia have met Afghanistan in the ODI World Cup twice before, 2015 in Perth, where they absolutely annihilated them. I think want to go to 178. Afghanistan just couldn't cope with the 417 that Australia scored. And then in Bristol, I think Australia just cantered home, but it'll be far from a canter this time around. We can promise you that. Saturday Cruise, a player like Rashid will perform in a way that rips the opponents for fun. I'm having that hunch day is today. Goes on to say, Hemant, important toss for Afghanistan. God seems to be helpful for them. And like Anirudh pointed out as well, no one is one chasing in the Wankhede, which is a fun fact, 100%. Steve Smith is a miss for this match, reckons Paris Aurora. March is a preferred number 3, otherwise, but not for Afghanistan's match, he goes on to say. And finally, I would take it as a win for Afghanistan if they stay in the game for the first 10 overs in the second innings, even if it's slightly drier. True Wankhede bounce will help Aussie bowlers as well as batters getting under it. Right. Keep your comments coming through because we have a few more moments and minutes to be with you all before the first ball, of course. But what I want to, of course, talk about right now is the X factor. So let's have it. Okay, I'm just going to go first, boys. I think Noor Ahmad might have a say in this game in the second innings. But again, it depends on this first innings. If Afghanistan can just give themselves something to, of course, defend. So Noor Ahmad for me and maybe a Travis Head for an Australian perspective. What do you reckon? Nikhil, I'll go with you first and then we'll hear from Anirudh.
Very tricky to not go for Rashid because I am bantering with Anirudh about the 5 coming. If it is today, then we definitely have lots to clip out for. But yeah, Noor taken there. I think today, with no Fazal, I'm very keen to see who partners who partners Mujib to take the new ball. And if today is the day for Omarzai, then nothing like it. So I'll go with Omarzai. Again, batting first, he's looked good. He's batted at a crucial spot and not looked hurried. So countering Zampa, Cummins in the middle overs will be very, very crucial for Afghanistan. So Omarzai with the bat and ball, hopefully a player of the performance coming from there. And similarly, I feel from Australia's POV, Zampa, Stark are definitely crucial, but the one name that Anirudh also took, I think today could just be the day for Pat Cummins to really come through as an option in the middle overs, because I think Afghanistan's strength has been the experience of Rahmat Shahidi really settling them down. So I think if Pat Cummins is able to strike with the slightly older ball, using the slower one, and hitting the deck, it could be really good for him as well as a side, because you are starting to see him come through. He had a very good day against New Zealand as well. Hit some crucial runs, took took key wickets. So I think today could just be another day for Pat to continue that good run.
Okay, Abbas going on to say Zampa and Nabi for
Yeah.
me. Anirudh, what do you reckon? You mentioned a man there earlier, Manas Labuschagne. Do you think it'll be one of those surfaces where you'll have to kind of graft and grind more than all the other power players around you?
Historically, no, but considering Afghanistan have four specialist spinners, you might have to, you can't do it in sixes probably. So, which is why my X factor for the day, I was thinking Travis Head, but Avnish took it away from me. So I'm going to go with David Warner instead. So Warner averages 145 against Afghanistan in ODI cricket, and I
Only three games. Only 3 games.
That 178 does him a world of good.
Exactly.
89 in the last World Cup as well, unbeaten.
Yeah, that's
And
okay.
also, I think even in T20 cricket, he's never been dismissed by any of the Afghanistan spinners. So, and I personally think
Maybe it's a sign of things today.
Yeah, it's a
in
sign of
Aussie's
his
things.
getting stuck.
Aussie's getting stuck.
in his uh, in his 10-12 year ODI career, I don't think he's ever batted better than he's currently doing. I think this is the best of Warner we've ever seen, and in the confidence he's in on a true deck like Wankhede, where he can just play those uh what like he can free his arms and not bother too much about get the ball getting stuck or whatever. So I feel everything considered, I'm gonna go with Warner for Australia. And for Afghanistan, it's tricky, but I'm gonna go with Mohammad Nabi actually, because uh, I mean, if you look at his economy rate, the it was around like four, I guess, in this World Cup, and also not just that, but Australia's middle order. If you look at what happened against Pakistan, what happened against New Zealand, if Iftikhar and Glenn Phillips can trouble Mitchell Marsh and all those guys, I have no doubt that Nabi is gonna like bowl his 10 overs for like 20 or whatever if he gets it right on a good surface. So Nabi for Afghanistan, and yep, Warner for Australia.
Okay, interesting. Of course, like this particular video and subscribe if you guys are new, because we've just hit 37.6K on YouTube, and of course on Instagram we're way, way better than that. Essentially, check out all our written content. You can download the app as well, and do not forget to keep your comments coming through, because I just want to ask the boys a couple of more plaguing questions about this fixture right now. Nikhil, I mean, when you look at this game, I know essentially Afghanistan play South Africa after this, and Australia, I think, have a very easy game, dare I say, against Bangladesh and Pune. Does that mean Australia can afford to slip up, as silly as it sounds, today? Is it a do or die for any of them? Because the way they're placed, they can still get away with losing one game, right?
Yeah, but this is not the game that you'll want to lose at any cost. As Anirudh said, if they'll end up losing this one, I mean, you can't think that on a Wankhede surface, Australia with all the batters, with Western Australia, FC, and all of that, if they are troubled on this deck by Afghanistan, they would be worried about their form. And this should be as well, because again, as Anirudh pointed out, Marsh has had his troubles versus spin. Travis said, "Will take risk. Someday it will come off, someday it will not." So eventually, you're looking at two-man batting attack in Warner and Marnus. So you cannot really afford to be dependent on those two, because you have Stoinis, Maxwell, and others also playing at this an English play. This might just be the game where they might want all of them to come through, that if at all they lose Warner early by some case and scenario, this is the game where they might want to tick that box that okay, even if we lose them early, we still have enough depth in the batting department to cover. Because see, Green played well in the last game, but apart from that, Marsh has had one good knock against Pakistan. But even there, you could see obvious signs that where people can trouble it. So I think it's not a game where Australia will want to lose. And it's amazing that we are in a time that we are saying Australia can take a lot of confidence if they win against Afghanistan. So it just tells you it's not about from Australia POV, but from Afghanistan POV, that how well they have come through as a unit, that you're looking to tick boxes versus them. So I
Yeah.
think Afghanistan should take that as a confident bit and just look to get one early. They get one early, this game will be set up for fun.
Their route to the semi-finals, Anirudh, I mean, obviously it's like you said in your article, dare to dream, but can they dream? Because Australia and South Africa on paper itself can really just blow your confidence out of the water. So how do they approach it? Do they approach it literally 5 overs by 5 overs till they meet South Africa and Ahmedabad?
The way I look at it, I feel they have nothing to lose. They've already exceeded expectations, and anything from here is a bonus for them. That is one way of looking at it. But the other way is, well, now the semi-final spot is within reach. So will they, you know, will they feel the pressure right now? Because nobody thought they'd make the semis, and probably they themselves wouldn't have thought they'll make the semis. And now suddenly they are like, okay, we win two more matches and we are definitely through to the semis. We win one more match and we can still make the semis. So it's tough, but if you look at what Shahidi said in the press conference yesterday, I feel that they will enter today believing that they can beat Australia. They will enter the South Africa match believing that they can beat South Africa and Ahmedabad. I don't think they are pushovers at all. No longer pushovers. So yeah, if you're an Afghanistan supporter, I, I I see no reason why you can't believe this team can win at least one of the next two matches.
No, indeed. And just imagine if Afghanistan win today. Most of their fans, I think, they're still upset about Cricket Australia to cancel that test in 2021 and that ODI series in 2023. And then you talk about Afghanistan generally, who just got one win in ODI World Cups before entering this one, and they would probably have their biggest ever win 5 times. I mean, I know they beat England, they said biggest ever win, and then they beat Pakistan, said that was the biggest. But surely today will be the biggest win indeed. Let's just end the preview by, of course, give you a little bit of trivia in the next segment, in the final one, which is, of course, Did You Know? Right, we throw out trivia sometimes on cricket.com like confetti because we have so much of it to share and lend. Now, take a look at this. Glenn Maxwell smashed a half century in just 21 balls against Afghanistan in that 2015 World Cup encounter, the fastest by an Australian in a World Cup. Can he better it? Can any of those other blokes better it? Only time will tell. But that is definitely a flashback that Aussie fans will like to be reminded on, especially in six hitting central like the Wankhede. Right, time to end the preview, but only with our predictions, guys. Score predictions. Given that Afghanistan are batting first, what are we hoping for? And Anirudh, one prediction with the Aussie hat on and one just as a neutral.
Okay. With the Aussie hat on, I am going 182 all out. I feel there's a stark 5-wicket haul incoming. I just feel it's gonna happen today. But with a neutral hat on, I'm gonna say Afghanistan will score around 265 or 270, around this score, and I feel that this will be a match that will go right down to the wire if they do. uh, Australia have not really chased well at all in this tournament, so even the Sri Lanka one was a bit nervy. So yeah, if Afghanistan get anything over 250, then I think they should believe that they can win this match.
Okay, fair enough. Nikhil, do you echo those thoughts or do you see another dream?
Yeah, I'm always happy to dream because only then you can chase them. But so yeah, VVS, I'll stick to him. Uh, it can be a good score. It was a similar score that had England in trouble. And as he said, all I'm looking for is that early, I don't know, Mujibur Rahman LBW to Warner or Omarzai getting him to drag on. I think the game will depend on how Afghanistan batting first and bowling first. As simple as that. They do both of these things right, they'll go a long way in being the game.
Even first 5 overs, you don't even have to go 10,
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
yeah, fair.
Okay, let's see how it all prevails in the Wankhede. Of course, we'll see the similar faces in the post-match review scheme of things whenever the game is done, and that'll be fun to talk about. Shaunak Malik goes on to say Afghanistan's campaign a bigger story than Kenya's 2003 dream run. man, it might be really up there because we know what Kenya achieved. In fact, it's a perfect segue for the plug-in of the Tuesday cricket.com classics, which drop at 8 p.m. And that is about a certain Kenyan. Find out who we're talking about in that one. That's all we have time for. Thanks, Anirudh and Nikhil, for all your insights in this preview. Till we see you guys later, have a fantastic one and pray to God that Afghanistan's do it and my reverse jinx comes to the fore. Thanks for watching. Good night and goodbye.
Cheers.
Good night, goodbye, good afternoon. I think that's it.
Good night to Australia. Cheers.
Bye.